he's been, he's been hurt, and I do believe last year it was actually perfect for him, right? Short season. He got his repetitions. His stuff was outstanding, and we feel very good about him just taking off. Very similar to Nate's career, right? As far as the injuries and the potential, and we're trying to help him out to take that next step. But stuff wise, he's one of the best in the league. Analytic wise or with your eyes, and harness his stuff in the strike zone will be good for us, and that's what we're trying to accomplish.
What have you noticed about him just kind of getting a chance to be around him for the first time?
Very, very laid back. Good teammate, good communicator. Him and Bushy. Obviously, there's work there. It takes time, but so far so good. And that's the work of the coaches. Try to understand the lingo of the player, what makes them work. One thing for sure, and we've been hearing this from a lot of guys that are here for the first time. They praise our medical staff. Brad and his group. This is a team that we don't mind guys going to the training room. We're trying to prevent injuries, and how you prevent injuries is just you got to go to the training room and go through your shoulder program and take care of your body. In other teams, it's the other way around. If they see their players in the training room, it's a red flag. With us, it's the other way around. And just talking to Adam, to Garrett, and Reese, they really like that. Just a hands-on staff, and they do an outstanding job.
For the last few years, on and off, Garrett's been injured. How is he? Is his health?
Who, Richards?
Yes.
He's good. Like I said, he had Tommy John 2 years ago. Last year, in a short season, he started some games. He ended up in the bullpen. He actually pitched, I think it was one inning in October, for what I remember. But he's good, and what gets my attention is his stuff, his breaking ball and the fastball, and he'll be one of our guys, and he should be a good one.
Hey, Alex, just curious from a sense of baseball-wise, you talk about wanting to play clean games. How do you handle when you don't have clean situations? Is it in the dugout then? Because it's spring training, is it a conversation the next day? Is it a coach's conversation? For instance, a guy like Kike who just, on a relay makes a play. What kind of things do you do as far as repetition on and off the field when it comes to trying to correct those mistakes?
We talked about it yesterday in the dugout right away. There's open lanes of communication. So he explained me a few things about the play. I told him what I thought. Even with Jonathan yesterday, he doesn't want to throw it away, but it's a tailor-made double play that we have to turn. Championship caliber teams turn that double play, and he's a good player. He told me the scenario with Gordon running, he rushed and he threw it away, and we walk him through the play how we feel that he should have attacked that ground ball, and communication is always there. Then we talk about it this morning in the staff meeting. It's funny because you worked so hard in cutoff and relays and rundowns, and it seems like everything is perfect. But like the great Maury Wills used to say, when you are on that field, the 20% comes into play. Adrenaline and the fans and winning and losing. So that 20% works sometimes against the player, and we have to talk about it and slow them down and walk them through it. So it's just two bad plays, that's about it, but we talk about it all the time.
Alex, how do you view playing Dahlback at third?
We got to keep the versatility there. He's a good defender at third base. He's a good defender at first base. Rafi's gonna need off days. You know, we might put him there. We got Marwin, we got Enrique, we got Christian. So we got alternatives. But whenever I have a chance, especially here in spring training, for him to play third base, he will play third base.
Alex, you mentioned yesterday that some guys are dealing with non-COVID illnesses. How is everybody doing on that front?
We're doing okay. You know, I got that email. I think it was a midnight or early last night, and you see all the negatives. That was like, okay, so it's only a bad meal. So they're bouncing back. Some of them will show up later today just to go through their work away from everybody. But as a group, we're doing okay. I think there's a few trainers. They're down for the day, but we'll survive today.
Alex, with the closer spot and more generally, like how do you get through the desires of the player where Barnes says I want to close versus the what's best for the team in those circumstances? And do you take that into account when a player says this is what I want to do, particularly a veteran player?
I'm actually happy that he said that. And nothing against Barnes. In 19, he said all the right things, right? Except saying I want to be the closer. And I'm glad that he stepped up and he said that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your goal should be to be the best at your position, right? So, like I said, we'll go through spring training. We'll make a decision, and everybody's going to be okay. At the end of the day, we will need probably multiple guys that can get 3 outs in the ninth inning throughout the season, right? Because, the closer will be down and the next guy has to step up. But I'm happy that he challenged us, right? That I want to do it. So now put work, do your thing out there, and whatever decision we make, everybody's going to respect it. It's going to be for the benefit of the team, and then we go.
But as a manager, how do you go about defining where that line is between what you want and what you want to do that's good for the player? And is that one of the bigger challenges you face as a manager?
I think at the end of the day, you get hired to make tough decisions, and that the players are going to agree all the time. No, but I'll make the decision that I think is the best for the benefit of the team, and it doesn't mean that whoever we decide is going to be the setup guy can't do the closing thing, but we do believe that is the right decision. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's the way I approach it, and we have to live with it. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but the decision will be very thoughtful. We're going to put everything on the table, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have an opinion about it, and we'll make a decision as a group, and we'll move forward.
Alex, go ahead, Pete.
Alex, there was a time it seemed like you didn't necessarily believe that you had to have a closer. As your thinking on that shifted a little bit, or?
It shifted in 19 when we used Barnesy as an ace reliever. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's as easy as people. They talk about it at 5 o'clock on TV. It's very hard. It's like you facing the best of the best on a daily basis, right? And hey, there's certain days that you want to face just you. You know what I mean? Like make it easy on you. And he faced. I go back to those 2 weeks. I've been saying all along. We faced the Astros, the Yankees, and he faced Judge and I don't know who else. I remember there was a walk-off in Houston, and he faced Bregman and Correa and whoever they had. And it's not easy mentally. It's not easy physically, and they need a break too. So I think structure it helps. That you can sometimes be creative and go on another way in certain days. Of course, that's the nature of the game. But I do believe structure matters. And that's the route we're gonna go.
How much did you think about that last year? And not with this particular team, but just what's the right thing to do with setting up a bullpen?
No, I mean in 19 after that we set up, work, step up, and he became the closer, and you saw the results. It was easy after that. that we're gonna blow saves. Yeah, of course, but I think it makes sense. It makes sense in a sense that just watching. It's like facing the best pitcher all the time, as a hitter, and for how good you are, you can be Mike Trout or you can be me, it's not easy facing the best of the best all the time. So that's the way I see it. So I didn't think too much last year. I thought about it in 19.
Alex, Arroyo played a lot of second base in the final month of last season. Now with Kike here, obviously that picture changed. How do you see what's Arroyo's path to making to winning a spot on the roster now?
He made some strides offensively. That's what everybody feels, right? Last year, he's a good defender at second base. I watch a lot. He's able to turn the little play, but versatility is going to be a factor, and he knows it. And we do believe that he can handle short. He can make all the routine plays, and let's see how much the offense is going to be part of his game. But yesterday, he too good at bats, drove one to center field. Seems physically he's a lot better than where he was last year. A better athlete than what I thought watching on TV. And, I recruited actually Christian for the 17 WBC when he was with the Giants. Just recruited him, he was probably going to be on the bench with all those guys that we had in the infield. So I know the player a little bit, but now that I'm able to see him, he looks a lot better than what you see on TV. Better athlete, he can move. So it's up to him. He's been challenged his whole career. Let's put it that way. He was a top prospect. There were some roadblocks there with Crawford and Panic while they were winning championships. And he hasn't been easy, but he feels very comfortable with the group, and he's going to have every chance to make this team.
Could he get some time in the outfield, like on a corner spot, to increase his versatility, or do you not want to do that?
We haven't talked about it. We'll do the infield part of it first. Play him at third, maybe at first base, but as of now, just play him up the middle and see how he goes.
And Alex, along similar lines with Chavis, how big of a spring is this for him, considering the fact that Arroyo is out of options, and you have Marwin and you have Kike there. What are you looking for him this spring, and just how big of a spring is this for him?
Consistency. Yesterday he put a good swing on a good pitch, and then it's one of those with Michael that we know what he can do. We know the type of hitter he is. He needs to close down some holes, from his swing. And like I've been saying all along, strikeouts are just an out in certain situations, but in other situations, we need to make contact. And that's one part of the game that he needs to get better, and he knows it. Defensively, you saw it. He played third yesterday. He's playing first today. We'll put him at second. We'll keep trying the left field thing. It's a big spring for him too. And he knows it. He knows the personnel that we have, the guys that we added, and the versatility. But he can do those things too. And when he punishes the ball, it goes a long way. But he needs to become a better hitter. And he worked hard. He saw Timmy a lot in the off season, and hopefully those adjustments they show up in spring training.
Alex, you talk about
LSU. That's a tough one right there, man. That's a tough one.
Sorry to do that too. It's only when I had clean today. You talk about potential with pitchers. Local guy down here, Thad Ward, obviously looking to make a big stride, especially after the 2019 he had. Just what are you looking for him?
First things first, slow down. He doesn't have to impress people. We know the player. We know this stuff. We love actually the tempo on the mound, but we need him to be careful. Sometimes you come into spring and you want to open eyes. He doesn't have to do that. We know what he can do, and he's a very likable guy, a great competitor. He pays attention to details on the mound, slowing down the running game, great tempo. He knows what it takes, and stuff-wise, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So excited to see him compete. I've been hearing about him for a few years, and just to go out there and have a blast. That's the most important thing.
talked about him a little bit last night after the game. What did you learn seeing Jeter Downs in game action for the first time?
Yeah, I was joking with Tech that those two kids they're making Heim look smarter than a year and a half ago, whatever. It's something about like slowing down the game that it seems like it's natural for him. It's a slow pace, slow heartbeat. He crushed that ball to right field. He did. And then the at-bat, the next one, it was a good swing up the middle. But 2 days ago, we were having that simulated game with Eduardo on the mound. And for how cool and smooth he is, somebody hit a rocket. I think it was Marwin to his right. And right away, he dove for it, So it's there. He gets it. And he worked out a lot this offseason with John Jay, like I told you guys, and John is one of my favorite players, not only in the big leagues, but from the program that we play for, and the mental side of it, and how you prepare, how you go about your business. That was something that he kept preaching to Jeter, and he's really good, and he's part of the future, and we're gonna play him a lot, just like Jaron. We want them to go out there and get their feet wet and see how the big league game is. It's a different pace, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be too fast for him, and that's cool to see.
Alex, you also mentioned Conor Wong's defense post game yesterday. What have you heard about what he's improved at defensively, I guess, over the past year, and when he still needs to work on?
I mean, he's another guy that slows down the game, and you could see yesterday. We had a bad inning, and then he comes in and kind of like a presence about him. He studies the game. He talks the game, which is very important for a catcher. Seems like he never panicked back there. He keeps working on that, one knee down stance. He has some really good hands. Talking to Enrique about it is position player that he's a catcher now. There's something that it seems like they like in the West Coast, right? With Smith and Barnes, and this kid can do it too. Good hands, it's very smooth. And offensively, he understands what he can do, but I really like the fact that communication is number one in his, defensive game. You see him in the dugout talking to Jason, to the pitchers, and for a young guy to be able to do that right now is eye-opening. And it was fun to watch him perform yesterday.
Alex, is Xander one of the guys who's been sick, or are you just holding him out for the first couple games?
No, with Xander, he's a little bit banged up, his shoulder. We do feel that he's progressing right now. We shut him down for a little bit. He rushed himself with his throwing program during the offseason. With everything that is going on with the virus, there were a few things that he wasn't able to do in Aruba because of lockdowns or whatever they had going on down there for the right reasons. So it wasn't a regular offseason in that end. He was able to hit all that, but his throwing program wasn't perfect. So he rushed himself. He was sore for a few days. We shut him down. He should be back to throwing in the next couple of days. He will take ground balls and all that. And the hitting part, he'll be okay in a few days too. So we just got to be patient. We got plenty of days, right? We got, 30 more days? So as of now, we do feel that he should be ready for opening day. Franchi is on his way here today. He's flying today. So he'll go through the protocols and the intake and all that stuff. So probably that takes, 2 days, hopefully, maybe 3. Sawamura should be with us today. Everything went, the negative way and a positive way. So he's okay to work out with us. We're good? Thank you.
So Salmora,
to work out with them.